Welcome to the Central Alabama High School Sports Show podcast, brought to you by Andrew Sports Medicine, Land of Frost, Hamburger Heaven, Huffman Electric, and State Farm.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Central Alabama High School Podcast. Tonight, we've got an outstanding show lined up. We've got two outstanding football coaches that will be visiting with us. And, of course, we're in the middle of the season. There's a lot going on. The teams are really jockeying for position now because y'all know, if you've been watching this program any length of time, that when you get into the football season, you have region games. These region games dictate whether or not your team will qualify for the playoffs at the end of the season. So it's the middle of the season, and teams are either hot or cold right now and having to play better or having to hold their position where it is. And the reason I say that, you know, last week we had Josh Bean of AL.com on the show. We talked about the power rankings. Well, the power rankings in the state rank all the high schools from 7A down to probably the lowest in this ranking would be a 5A school, but that's still a lot smaller than some of these 6A and 7A schools. So just to give you an idea of how the teams here in the Birmingham area are doing, Homewood is ranked number 25 in the power ranking. Homewood is a 6A school. Briarwood, a 5A school, is ranked number 20 in the state. Ramsey is ranked number 19. Jackson-Olin is ranked number 18. Number 13, Mountain Brook. There's a significance of Mountain Brooks, and you'll see what it is later. Clay Chalkville is number 11 in the state in the power ranking. Now you get to the teams that are really having good seasons thus far. The number 5 ranked team in the power ranking in the state of Alabama, Pinson Valley. And of course, you know they're power in 6A. Then you've got number 4, Thompson, right here in Birmingham. Number 3, Hoover. That doesn't surprise anyone. Number 2, Hewitt-Trussville. And they are the highest ranked team here in the Birmingham area. And Central Phoenix City leads the state. And like I said, in the power ranking, we're here at the part of the season where now the wins are more important than ever. And so I'm sure we'll be talking about that with the coaches we've got on tonight. So let me tell you, you might wonder, Snapper, why have you got this hat on? Well, it's pretty simple. The weather's been mighty warm here lately, and the heat's on, as the old saying goes. And there's another old saying, when it gets hot outside, that means it's hot inside. We're bringing you a hot show tonight, folks, so don't you go away. We'll be right back.
The community features a world-class resort and spa, the amazing Robert Trent Jones Trail Golf Course, miles of historic trails, and the whole family loves the pool at Ross Park. No, are we gonna have to watch your vacation slides all night?
This was supposed to be a party.
Well, this isn't my vacation. I live here.
Ooh.
Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven. A taste of heaven is always best. Now you know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
Land of Frost Premium is America's best-selling 1-pound deli pouch, now available in 12 delicious flavors, including new flavors of mesquite turkey and cotto salami. High school athletes across the country ask for Land of Frost by name. These great items are available at your local grocer, including Piggly Wiggly, Food Giant, Western supermarkets, and many more. Land of Frost also makes other varieties of lunch meats, including deli shaved bistro and sub sandwich kits. Land of Frost is a proud sponsor of youth sports as well.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine, with shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered in Andrews Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, post-operative decisions, pre-operative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them, we're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrews Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And folks, welcome back. And as you can tell, I have my first guest of the evening, and he's one of the more successful football coaches here in the Birmingham, Jefferson County area. And of course, we're talking about Chris Yeager from Mountain Brook. Coach, always good to see you.
Great to be here, Snap.
And were you turning your phone off?
I am, and I was just, I'm turning my phone off. Thought about getting a picture of that hat. I love it so much.
Oh, well, yeah, feel free.
Love it. Okay, got it.
All right, because let me tell you, that leads me to another quick story. It won't take but a second.
All right.
My phone rung one night on the show, and I hadn't turned it off. So instead of panicking, all I did, Chris will tell you, I pulled out my phone, answered, said, I'm doing my show right now. Call me back, and hung up and didn't miss a beat, as the old saying goes.
That's great.
But awfully good to see you.
You too, Snap.
Coach, tell us a little bit, for people that might be seeing you for the first time, tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to your coaching job there at Mountain Brook.
Okay, well, I've been at Mountain Brook now for 20 years. 13 as the head football coach. Joey Jones hired me in 1999 as the offensive coordinator, and then when Joey went to Birmingham Southern to start the program there, then they elevated me as a head coach. I was coached in Georgia at 2 different stops there. I've coached at been 2 other places at Walker High or Jasper High School now, and West Blockton High School as the head coach. And then I coached in college at North Alabama, Austin Peay State, East Tennessee State, Alabama, and Troy. So been all over the place. But for the last 20 years, I've called Mountain Brook home.
Well, I know I came to the Vestavia Mountain Brook game, and I was telling you 20 years, I'm finishing up the 20th year of doing the show. So we've sort of took this ride a little bit together.
That's right.
But talking about this year's team, Coach, you can't get off to a better start than you are, 5-0 right now, and so the team's playing well. Does that surprise you, or did you sort of expect to have a pretty good team this year?
Well, I'll be honest, when every year, seniors, they establish themselves, when a group of seniors, when they leave your team, you think, how can we carry on without those guys? We had such great leaders last year, and so you think, well, who's going to take their place? And, you go through the off season and you hope that players emerge, and you go through the spring training and in your summer, but until you start competing, you really don't know who your leaders are. And you think you have leaders until, the bullets start flying. And then, but that's been the most encouraging thing is I think progressively our schedules become more difficult, and because of the leadership and because of the chemistry on the team, I feel like, that our play has elevated. Now, we got some tough, tests down the road. We've got one tomorrow night too, but, I feel like our players are up for the challenge.
Well, tell us a little bit about this year's team, and in particular, we'll give you this, the background is in your offense, your defense, and specialty teams kicking.
Sure. Well, we lost 8 seniors on offense last year, and we lost a senior quarterback that was a 3-year starter. So we replaced him with a sophomore quarterback, and that was a big area of concern, for all of us. But he's performed very well, and we've got some other, players. We've got some seniors on our offense, but they're inexperienced players. But now our defense, we've got 9 players on our defense that have got starting experience. And so really I feel like that's where we're very, very strong. Those guys are, they've, last year we had, only had 3 seniors on defense. And so they had to carry a lot of the load. It caused them to grow up in a hurry. And, to me, I think that's the biggest reason that we've been successful. The kicking game, we've got, both of our kickers back. We've got our punter and our kicker back. So, we feel like we're pretty, we got experience there as well.
And so a lot of times, and another key factor is the injury situation. Have you been fortunate to, you're going to have bumps and bruises all through the season, but has the injury bug hit you very hard this year?
Not really, we've had, just, minimal injuries. Our players have done an unbelievable job this year of playing, with some injuries, and it's just, they've been enough to where they've got to have some attention, got to have some tender love and care and everything, but it's still, it's play as pain can tolerate. So that we've had some players that have done an incredible job playing through that, which has been.
Well, now, Coach, you've been in the business a long time. You've been there, like you say, 20 years, going on 20 years now here at Mountain Brook. How much longer does Coach Yeager going to stay in the business? Well,
this is probably a pretty good time, Snapper, to announce that, I'll retire when, they pry the whistle out of my dead cold hands, and so I'm going to coach as long as I can. It's I've tried to envision myself doing something different, and Mountain Brook's my home. I love what I do. I love the kids, and as long as in the morning I'm waking up and coming up with ideas and wanting to grow and learn and stuff. I don't know what people gauge when it's time to hang up the whistle, but as long as I feel like players are benefiting from me being around in the school and the community, then I want to do it. I was telling somebody the other day, Coach Saban, he's 12 years older than I am. I have guys ask me how much longer I'm going to coach. And I said, I don't hear a lot of people asking Coach Saban how much longer he's going to coach, right. But I feel like I've got a lot of years still in me.
Well, I'm sure you do too. And the thing that I wonder is, you've been in the business long enough, the athletes that were coming along when you first started, as compared to the athletes that we have now, what's the biggest difference that you've seen through the years?
It's a great question. I think the biggest difference now is, there's, back when I arrived at Mountain Brook, you didn't have social media. You didn't have near the distractions and as many things to handle. I don't think that life was near as complicated. In 1999, I think about that group of players. And so I think now, then, football, there were fewer options, and so football, it was easy for a player to choose and land on football. Now there's so many things to choose from now. I think it takes a very, very special person to play, the game of football. I think a player's got to be wired, a little bit different. Right. I've heard people talk about, in other sports, every sport, I admire any player that plays any other sport. But the pain that you have from running or the pain that you have from pushing yourself, it's totally different than the pain and, the things that you face in football from, the collision and then not feeling like practice the next day and you got to get up and do it. But the biggest thing I think that the players that play today, they're just, to me, they're as tough, they love the sport as much as they ever have, but I just think there's probably fewer of them around than there have been.
Right. Are you one of these coaches that you don't mind your athletes playing other sports, or do you rather them hone in on that one sport?
Well, I'd rather them play as many sports as they can for, sports are supposed to be for the purpose of educating players. I want my players exposed to as many coaches they can be exposed to. I want them to as many experiences. And I tell them all the time, when you graduate, I want you to just drag yourself across that stage. I want you to be completely used up for Mountain Brook High School and have as many experiences you can, to relate to in life. Because I know this, I know just the sport of football and the things that I've played, it's, I wouldn't be where I am without my high school athletic experience. It's invaluable.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, it's always a pleasure to sit down and talk with you. Your team is doing really good right now. You couldn't do any better than you have done, and so I hope you keep trending in that same direction. I'm like you. I know there's tough games ahead, but we all know that the season's made up of 10, and all you do is, I'm sure you preach this, one game at a time.
That's it.
And do your best not to look ahead, because you got to take care of today. And you and your team have done a great job thus far. Wish you luck the rest of the season. I tell you what, I would look forward to if we could visit one more time this year. It would mean you and your guys, some of your guys could come back and we could celebrate a championship.
I love it. I love it.
But good luck to you and your team the rest of the year.
Thanks, Snapper.
And we're going to take a quick break. We're going back a couple of athletes that have been very inspirational into the great start Mountain Brook's had thus far this season. We'll be right back. You can catch our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can also visit us on our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Be sure to like and subscribe to our platforms. If you have an idea for a show topic or would like to be a sponsor, please email us at castvshow321@gmail.com.
The community features a world-class resort and spa, the amazing Robert Trent Jones Trail Golf Course, miles of historic trails, and the whole family loves the pool at Ross Park. No, are we gonna have to watch your vacation slides all night?
This was supposed to be a party.
Well, this isn't my vacation. I live here.
Ooh.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say, I combined home and auto with State Farm.
Saved $760.
Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760.
That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
And folks, welcome back. You can tell I got two outstanding young athletes sitting here beside me. One, Grant Griffin. And Grant, you're a defensive back. Senior?
Yes, sir.
Senior.
Yes, sir.
Two seniors. And Gavin Lee. And Gavin's a defensive lineman. And guys, as we get this started, and Grant, we'll start with you. Did you, in your wildest imagination, and we want to go 10-0, right? I mean, that's what we're shooting for. But did you feel like you guys, at this point in the season, would still be undefeated?
Most definitely. That was the goal coming in. And I think as a group of seniors, we all came together and we decided that to stay focused during the season, 24/7 football.
Well, let me ask you this. Is football the only sport you participate in?
No, sir. I played basketball as well.
Oh, okay. And then Gavin. Gavin, defensive lineman, you're the kind of guy that likes to hit people, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
When your defense is playing really well as well. Did you anticipate y'all getting off to this good a start, or would you have been proud if there was a loss or two as long as you played well?
I expected this all the way. I expect more. We're going to keep going.
Well, let me ask you this. When you see that schedule pop up on the board, is there a team or two that you look forward to playing more than another, or you just line them up one at a time, we'll take them on?
We'll line them up one at a time, but I look forward to all of them.
Really? Okay. How about you, Grant?
I'm always looking at the next game, but here at Trussville coming up is a big game for us, but taking it one at a time for sure.
Right. Well, now, when you play as well as y'all have, one of the main ingredients that makes for a successful, not only individual player such as yourselves, but as team, is team chemistry. Grant, with that in mind, talk about the chemistry of this team, the makeup, because if you get along better, you can be a whole lot more cohesive unit than if there's bickering all the time, if you know what I mean.
Definitely. I mean, our defense and our offense are super close. On defense, I know we're mostly seniors, but we have three really good junior rotators that we've all been best friends since elementary school. Like, we all gel together. There's no awkwardness in the locker room. And it's basically a family with this team.
Yeah, well, Gavin, how do you see that?
I see it the same way. I see the offense the same way as the defense is. We've all played football with each other and sports with each other through elementary school too, so we all know how we work, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, do you participate in any other sports?
No, sir. I just play football.
Football. All right. Let me ask you this: athletes are funny, and I know Coach was an athlete at one time. I was a little of an athlete at one time, many years ago, but we're sort of a superstitious bunch. athletes, and it don't matter what sport it is. Is there anything that you have to do as an individual each game? Or is there anything in particular that makes you feel like you're going to play better if you do that? Do you have any superstitions like that?
One thing that I do before every game, I don't know if it's superstitious, but I go around every player on our team and we dap up each other. We high five each other before the game, and I don't know, that just like gets me ready.
Now, if you miss somebody, you search them out and make sure you found them.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's just what I'm saying. Like, everyone on our team's a family, and you know if you're missing something out there.
How about you, Gab?
I always put my left shoe on first.
Really?
Yes, sir. And I say you ready to everybody on the team. It's just.
Oh my goodness! So if they see that right and go on first, what they do? Go grab it and say, "No, you put this other one on."
One time I taped a penny in my shoe too, so that was pretty good.
Well, all right, that's pretty neat. All right, now guys, I already know two things about you. One is that you both have to be pretty good with the academics, because if you don't qualify in the classroom, you don't make it to the football diamond. And then the other one, you got to be awfully good out there, or either you don't make it in football or you're not a first teamer. So with that thought in mind, all that work on the football field and games and all that work in the classroom, somewhere along the road during the week you've got to relax and unwind, do something to take the edge off a little bit, just to come back to earth a little. Grant, what would that be for you?
Saturday mornings, I usually watch college football, game day, and I usually watch a bunch of games during the day, just relax. That's my day off usually.
Yeah, you enjoy watching somebody else hit each other for a little while, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how about you, Grant?
I enjoy the outdoors a lot. I do a lot of hunting and fishing, and that's my break.
Really?
That's all I enjoy.
Yeah, well, now fishing, I've never done much of that, but I know what little I've done, I think I enjoyed the surroundings just as much, if not more, than catching the fish, because it's just something about nature, I guess, from that standpoint. Well guys, as you get further into the season and the pressure, believe me, the more successful you are, the pressure will build. Do you ever think about that, or Grant, are you one of these guys that's one game at a time? Then you'll worry about next game next week.
Definitely just one game at a time. I mean, I've been as nervous for the first game as I was this game.
Yeah. Well, how about that? There's a lot of truth to that. Gavin, how about you?
I just one at a time, the easy going. It's a football game. Have some fun.
Well, now, I know both of you guys are seniors, and I'm sure there have been times in your life when young kids come up to you. Hey, if you had a chance to tell a youngster why he would enjoy playing football, Grant, what would you tell one?
I mean, it's not even about sometimes on the football field. It's what happens all around, like being with your best friends. Like, you form a bond that can't be broken, and then once you form that bond, which is usually outside of football, on the field, it just makes it so much better. You know what the man next to you is going to do. He's going to go 100% for you, and that's great to feel when you're on the field.
Okay, how about you, Gavin?
I just tell them it's a game. It's a lot of fun. It's something that's worth trying, and if you don't like it, you don't have to play it. But it's worth it. It's a lifestyle.
And you're right. You build relationships that sometimes can last many, many years past football. And like you said, you have a common goal, and that's what everybody works for. That unifies you and makes you even closer. Well, guys, as we get ready to close out this interview, let me ask you this, and Grant, we'll start with you. To this point in your young life, who's been the most inspirational person or persons?
Definitely my coaches and my dad, Coach Yeager, Coach Bucky, and my dad. Definitely top 3 people that have been with me basically since I was in kindergarten, watching all my games coming up. And they've always been that positive influence that I've needed coming up through high school, junior high, and elementary school.
Good for you. How about you, Gavin?
My dad and the coaches and all the influential people in my life.
Well, I tell you what, guys, like I said, it doesn't get much better than what y'all have done thus far. undefeated halfway through the season. That's a great start. You got some tough games ahead of you, and I know you look forward to them for two reasons. One, they're the next games on the schedule. They'll be in your senior year. You want to enjoy every one of them. So I'd like to tell you good luck the rest of the year. The only thing that would make it better is, like I was telling Coach, if y'all could win a state championship, I'd have some of you guys back up here and we'd celebrate it together, all right? But good luck to you, and good luck in whatever endeavor you have once you get out of high school, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a quick break. We come back, another coach, more young athletes. Don't you go away. We'll be right back.
Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven. A taste of heaven is always best. Now you know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
The next time you need electrical work, whether it be commercial or residential, you need to call Huffman Electrical Contractors, a company that's been in business for over 35 years. They've served clients not only locally in the Birmingham area and all over the state, but have clients outside the state of Alabama as well. Whether it's a new building or remodeling an older building or home, they can handle the job for you. Once again, that's Huffman Electrical Contractors. The number to call is 205-661-5005. That's 205-661-5005. Where at Huffman Electrical Contractors, a satisfied customer is always their number one objective. Folks, welcome back. You can tell I got another outstanding coach sitting beside me here. And of course, we're talking about Rod Isaac, the head football coach of Midfield. And believe it or not, Coach, I think I told you this before, I have a soft place in my heart for Midfield because I had my daughter went there for many years, a few years ago. You can tell I'm getting on up the road. My daughter went there. But first of all, good to see you again.
Thanks for having us here.
And secondly, congratulations on what's been a perfect season thus far. And as you've gotten into the year, Coach, did you expect this kind of start?
Well, honestly, I didn't. I really didn't know. Going into the season is kind of questionable. We don't ever really know where we're going to be because we have such a team with small numbers. And so it's typically a kind of a chess match, you would say, until once the season started. And after the season gets started, we can kind of figure out. But to be 4-0 at this point, it wasn't an indication or a lack of there of an indication from the effort that the guys give. They give maximum effort every day they come out and work. And so we're just riding the wave, and I'm just very impressed and very glad that these boys are having some success.
Well, Coach, before we get any further, there will be people that might be seeing you for the first time. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up being the head coach there at Midfield.
Well, I've been in sports all my life. I played high school football at Jeff Lanier and went off to Alabama A&M where I received a 4-year scholarship to play football. Came back to Birmingham and started coaching from that point on, and I've been coaching ever since. I've probably been coaching now about 23 years.
Wow.
And so after those 23 years, I've been a head coach in some capacity for about 18 years. So
how many years you been at Midfield now?
I've been at Midfield now 10 years as the head coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say, time flies. Were you on the staff before?
I was on the staff before with Coach Ruben Nelson, who was the head coach at Rams.
Right,
so I was his defense coordinator.
Yeah, I've known Ruben many years too. Well, Coach, tell us a little bit about your team and what I mean by that, about your offense, defense, and specialty teams.
Well, just typical, the modern day spread offense on offense. We just play multiple defensive fronts. Each week kind of just be dictated pretty much, predicated about what the offensive team is going to give us. My thing is I just trust our guys, just go ahead and get at them regardless who we're playing against.
And I know too, Coach, Midfield, a couple of things have happened. One, Midfield, you're not fortunate enough to be loaded with a lot of athletes, so you have some that have to play both ways. That's a challenge. Then this other challenge is you've gotten into regions where now in the smaller classifications, in order to get games, a lot of the smaller schools have to play schools outside the Birmingham area. How has that affected you, and do you have many long, for lack of a better word to use, road trips you have to make?
Well, that's the number one nemesis we face at Midfield. We're 3A school. I think we dress out maybe 28 max, if that may be a high number. Right. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've been right around that same number, if not longer. And yes, our region, we're 3A, so there's no local 3A schools in close proximity other than Fultondale.
Right.
So that puts us typically hour drive to the next closest school that we'll face. Some longer, but the next closest school outside of Fultondale is usually an hour drive. That forces us to play out of class a lot if we want to get some local game. Right. The only thing, the downside to this, we done it up until this point, up until last year was our last year play. We played out of class. We had to play 5A schools.
Yeah.
And that put my guys at a total disadvantage. Right. They want to play them. I want to play them.
Right.
The Wheatoners and the Fairfields.
But you want an even play.
But I want an even play. I want to give my guys a chance, you know. And at the end of the game, you know, we out there trying to compete with 25 guys, which is composed of freshmen as well.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you play in a 5A school who go 2 platoons sometimes. And largely they're 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Hardly you going to find a team playing 5A, they're going to play many freshmen. And I have to rely on a lot of my freshmen.
So if you're honest about it, from the player situation, even though it's an even playing field, it's a disadvantage as well.
Oh yeah, it's a disadvantage. It's a disadvantage all the time. And so my guys, they want to play, but I tell them all the time, you know, I know you guys are ready and want to go out there and compete, but we got to look at the long haul. So we used to open up the season playing against Winona, one of the biggest forward for Midfield. Well, you play that game and you end up getting 1 or 2 guys banged up, and then you get to go into a 3-game region play.
Right.
I mean, that's bad business, and we've had that happen over the last couple of years, and so I just didn't want to chance it this year, and so we stay away. We played last week against a 4A team, which was Talladega. That was our Region 5 week, I think. That wasn't a region game; it was Week 5, and we played against Talladega, which was the 4A school. So, but. Other than that, we're going to stay within close proximity of the numbers in which we have.
Well, here's the thing, too, that comes into play. It shouldn't, but in reality it does. How has your team managed so far injury-wise this year?
Well,
you're going to have bunch of bruises.
Yeah,
we understand that.
Yeah, we have nicks and bruises. Unfortunately, we've had, I think, maybe 3 kids with concussion. They're all back. We lost a big player last week. Demetrius Henry, he was coming along pretty well for us and got injured last week game. I don't know how long he'll be out. He has to have a doctor's appointment on tomorrow, and so we'll get the update as to where he is. But just, I mean, even one kid getting out, we have a freshman out who played in rotation as a center. So even with that kid, that's a huge loss. Just losing one kid out of our rotation is a loss.
How does it look right now? You feel like you're probably in pretty good shape, even though you may not know that much about them, against the people that you're going to come up and get those region wins from. Do you think you're in a good position now to maybe to be a valid playoff player in the second half of the season?
Well, you know, the one thing I preach to my guys all the time is, you know, we're going to take it 1 week at a time, and we'll just let whatever down the road fall in place as it may. But our whole objective, our whole goal is to go 1-0 each week.
Right. Yeah. Coach, talking about the playoff system, do you handle your preparation for playoffs any differently than you do your regular season games?
No, and I don't. Everything I do with my guys, I try to keep it as simple as possible. You know, we have some guys who don't ever come off the field. You know, they're instrumental in offense, defense, and special team. So I try to make sure that I accommodate those guys. We just talked about that as we was coming over. We try to do a fairly heavy doses of conditioning. But as you know, with the conditioning, you're going to get tired. And so, but that's what I try to do. I just try to keep it as simple as possible for our guys. We don't try to change up too much of anything.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, whatever you're trying to do, whatever your system is, it's working. is working. The record indicates that, and so I hope that when the season, toward the end of the season, barring injuries, too many of them, that your team looks like it's a playoff team. And I guess you're like any other coach. You're hoping that your team, you want them ready every week, but yet you want them peaking come playoff time, right? So I wish you all the luck in the world. Like I said, nothing pleased me better than see you one more time this year, and that's to celebrate maybe a championship.
That's it.
But most importantly, good luck to you and your youngsters the rest of the season.
And we appreciate you for having us out here.
Okay, Coach. We're going to take a quick break. We come back, 4 young men that have been very instrumental in the great start the Patriots have got off to. We'll be right back.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I combined home and auto with State Farm.
Saved $760.
Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760.
That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
Land of Frost Premium is America's best-selling 1-pound deli pouch, now available in 12 delicious flavors, including new flavors of mesquite turkey and cotto salami. High school athletes across the country ask for Land of Frost by name. These great items are available at your local grocer, including Piggly Wiggly, Food Giant, Western supermarkets, and many more. Land of Frost also makes other varieties of lunch meats, including deli shaved bistro and sub sandwich kits. Land of Frost is a proud sponsor of youth sports as well. Folks, you can tell sitting next to me 4 outstanding young men, young athletes that have played an instrumental part in the undefeated season thus far the Midfield Patriots have experienced. Sitting closest to me, Anthony Brown, right?
Yes, sir.
And Anthony, you're a senior quarterback.
Yes, sir.
You're a main cog in that offense. You're too serious. You got to loosen up, Anthony. That's good. I like that. Quindarius Adams, senior.
Yes, sir.
And you a two-way running back linebacker.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, forget the coaches up there, all right? Tell me, which one do you like best? Do you like being running back or linebacker?
Running back.
Running back. You want to run over instead of knocking somebody down, right? Okay, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Then Jalen Magwood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jalen is senior, defensive back, and wide receiver.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you ought to know both positions well.
Yes,
now,
sir.
what I want to know is you like snagging that touchdown, or you not like that hard hit on somebody that's thinking they're going to make a play on you?
I'm starting like defense a little bit more now.
Really? Oh, okay. And then Dwayne Burris, senior defensive lineman, offensive lineman?
Both.
Both, that's right.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me ask you a question. How many pounds?
355.
How many?
355.
Okay, I'm not coming your way, all right? Now, Dwayne, answer me this question and be honest. You like defense or offensive line? You like blocking or tackling?
It was last year it was defense, but this year I'm starting to go towards offense a little bit more.
Yeah, really? Oh, okay. All right, well, let me ask you guys, and we'll start. Anthony, does it surprise you? First of all, is this your first year to quarterback, or you've been there 2 or 3?
No, sir. I started my 10th grade year.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Going into this season, I know Midfield's got a successful program, and the coach and I talked about the teams you're playing and the way that you have to bounce around because of the lack of teams locally. Does it surprise you that the outstanding start you and your teammates have had?
It surprised me at first, but I know like the work that we put in this summer and everything that we did this summer, it like helped us build and have undefeated season.
When I know being the quarterback, you must throw pretty well.
Yes, sir.
Do you think your strength is your arm or your legs? Are you better at moving around?
Yeah, just moving around.
Really?
Yes,
Okay, but you can put pressure on people by hitting the pass when you have to, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then Quindarius, we done talked about the fact that running back or linebacker, but when you seen your schedule up there, was there any team? And I understand that you're sort of at a disadvantage with this question, but when you see the teams up there, especially the region teams you play, is there any team in particular you look forward to seeing playing during the season?
No, sir. I just want to take every game one game at a time. Everything just one game at a time. Keep it one game at a time.
Yeah, well, that's you're keeping it real. I'm not looking ahead. You're absolutely right. Jalen, one of the most important things about a team that helps them be successful or more successful or less successful is chemistry. If you guys like each other and there's no wind squabbling and you get along well, chances are the unity on the team is a whole lot better. Talk about that for you and your team, the chemistry of makeup of Midfield Patriots.
Well, we started since November, so it took some time for us to like get close because most of everybody that's coming in is mostly new, so we had to kind of get close with them.
Yeah, that is, and you know that makes a good point. It's a lot different if you're coming into a group that you've been together 2 or 3 years than someone where, like you say, there's a lot of newcomers, and it's like building from the ground up, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So that has it surprised you? Has it been pretty good chemistry for the team thus far this year?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, when you're undefeated, you're doing something right. Okay, now, Dwayne, offense or defense, it don't matter to you, right?
No, sir.
Now, if you get a chance to play at the next level, generally you don't go two ways in college. There are exceptions to the golden rule, but not many. Which would you rather play, offense or defense?
I would choose offense.
Really? Okay. Well, look, guys, I already know 2 things about you before you even sit down. I know, 1, you're pretty doggone good athletes. Number 2, you're pretty good students. Because if you don't qualify in the classroom, guess what? You don't make it to the football field. All right, in y'all's case, football. Now, having said that, and we're going to start with you, Dwayne, I know you prepare hard in the classroom, you prepare on that football field for Friday nights, but somewhere during the week, you've got to unwind and relax. What do you do to get your mind off the books and football?
I usually just go home, take a shower. Every now and then I would watch film. I have a little brother, so I had to watch after him and do chores, and pretty much my day would be gone.
Yeah. So once you get all that done, it pretty much takes up the whole day, don't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about you, Jalen? What do you do to relax and unwind?
I kind of like manage my time so that I have room for football and for school.
Right. Okay. But what do you do for the time where you just want to relax? You get uptight for some time. You've got to prepare for the classes and you got to prepare for the football field. But then you got in your free time, and I'm sure there's not a whole lot of it. But in your free time, what do you like to do just to totally relax?
I mean, really just watch TV or just
watch a little TV. Okay, there ain't nothing wrong with that. TV ain't gonna hit back at you, is it? All right. How about you, Quindarius?
Well, what I do, I play the game. I play Fortnite. Fortnite, man.
Something else.
Really?
That's what I do. Relax.
You good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you don't want to play nothing not good at, right? All right, how about you, Anthony?
I do the same. I play Fortnite, watch film. That's about it.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it's a pretty full schedule when you're taking care of the classroom and taking care of your football activities. But always remember, there's got to be a little time just for you to relax and unwind. So as you get into the season, does winning, and Anthony, you'll understand what I'm saying when I ask this question, does winning put more pressure on you to win the next game, or does it sort of make it easier to prepare for the next game because you expect to do well?
I have a little pressure on me. I mean, but like once the first play come and I make the first like contact and all that stuff, I have a lot of confidence in like winning the game.
Well, let me tell you something. You're being awfully generous when you say you have a little pressure. When you're the quarterback, when you're the man, you got some pressure.
Yes,
so that's good. It seems like you've been handling yourself really well thus far this season. Quindarius, how about you?
I think it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to me because undefeated is something that never happened to me for real in life. So it's like going into the next game, I can be nervous because I just don't. We've been winning so much. It's just so hard to it's gonna be hard to lose. Like I don't want to lose. Right. So it's just a lot. It's just pressure. But once I get into it and get going, it's easy.
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you something else, guys. Athletes, we're a funny bunch, and I was an athlete 50 years ago now, but I'm still an athlete. I played. And to unwind and to do something that takes the pressure off, sometimes it takes more work to relax and take the pressure off than it does to just stay cool and calm and collected. With that thought in mind, Jalen, what is your attitude toward the outlook of the sports and then away from it?
Really just towards it, just relax. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, you just take like one play at a time, you know.
Well, you can sometimes put too much pressure on yourself, you know. But guys, if I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions. Time gets away really fast. But we'll start with you, Dwayne. Is there any hobby that you have that you like to do?
I pretty much have a full day. I have to watch my little brother, and on the weekends I go to work. So I pretty much don't have time. I probably play the game.
Right.
And after that, my week start, go back to football practice.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it's busy taking care of home, the classroom, and the football field. But you guys have done a great job at it so far. The 4-0 record indicates it. So the last question we'll ask you guys, and we'll start with you, Anthony. To this point in your young life, who's been the most inspirational person or persons?
Probably, I gotta say Coach Ike.
Okay. And what has he done? Has he led you in the right directions?
Yes, sir. Like he never let us settle for less. Like he always pushing us to do the right thing.
Good for you. And Darius, how about you?
I gotta say Coach Ike too, because he like the father that I never had. Like it's like he not finna, like, even when we doing good, that's not enough. He gonna push us to do even better. How good is he? We can do even better.
Okay, good for you, Jalen.
Coach Ike.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a compliment to him, and it's also a compliment to you to show that respect that he means that much. Dwayne, how about you?
Coach Ike.
Well, I tell you what, guys, it sounds like you're all on the same page, and that's great because with the attitudes that y'all have and with the abilities that you have, you'll be able to take it a long way. Now, how far, we don't know. We hope it's all the way to the playoffs, okay? And guys, congratulations on how well you've done thus far. Keep up the good work. I tell you what, it'd be nice maybe at the end of the season, y'all get to come back again, but with a trophy.
Yes, sir.
I know that you ain't, but good luck to you, okay?
Yes, sir.
And folks, once again, we've had a great evening with outstanding guests, outstanding athletes. We'll do it again next week. Till then, you know what the snapper always says, bicycle. You can catch our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can also visit us on our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Be sure to like and subscribe to our platforms. If you have an idea for a show topic or would like to be a sponsor, please email us at castvshow321@gmail.com.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine and orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine with shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrew Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, postoperative decisions, preoperative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them. We're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.